What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Aaron, this is Aaron's Aquatics, and today we are going to be testing out the par meter on my new 90-gallon Clown Harem build. Now, a few weeks back, we already talked about the lighting, my plans, what light fixture we're gonna go with, and what coral, anemones that we're gonna have in this tank. In my last video, I told you not to pay attention to the rock flower anemone that's inside this tank. Well, hypotheticals aside, if say I did have a rock flower anemone that I haven't gone over yet in a video, I promise you I will, what I need to do for the sake of this anemone is to test the par ratings so I know exactly what we're doing with this anemone. That being said, I do not own a par meter myself. What I have done is I've worked with the Reef of Houston, which is Houston's largest reef club, if only. I mean, there's probably more, I'm not familiar with you. Guys, shout out to you if you exist, post in the comment section below. A perk of being a member is that you have access to one of 4 Apogee par meters. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Apogee instruments. It comes with a little selfie stick thing that you can put inside your tank and you can test your par readings. So for today's video, my goal is to test the par readings at different intervals on the LEDs. Now, T5s by themselves will always be fixed. It's a fixed value. We're gonna test the T5 value by itself. Right now, I'm running 2 Blue Plus and 2 Coral Plus bulbs up in the Aquatic Life T5 hybrid fixture. At that point, we're gonna start at 50% and move our way up in 10% increments and just see where we're at. Actually, I'll probably start at 40%. Whatever percent we start at, you'll see it in the video because I'll do some editing magic and you'll just see the percent number. There we go, done. Awesome, nice job, guys. Okay, so before we get started, I wanted to mention a couple things. First, the light fixture itself, I'm not gonna point the camera at it because it would blind everybody. The light fixture itself is 13 inches off the water line. Okay, so we're gonna be taking a measurement at the water line. After that, we're gonna be looking at the measurements of multiple locations. We're gonna look at the top of the tower, we're gonna look at the base of the tower, we're gonna look at the sand bed itself, and then all along the crescent. At that point, I can go ahead and record each percentage as we go up using the LEDs. So to go ahead and kick this off, let's go ahead and test with just T5s on, which is what we have on right now. So using the par meter, let's go ahead and turn it on. Right now, at the water level itself, we're looking at 170 par at the water level. That's actually pretty low. I thought it was gonna be higher than that. By the way, this is the first time I'm reading it myself, so no editing. That's how I'm doing it today. So let's go ahead and start at the tower. At the very top, we're seeing about 75. At the overcrop, we're seeing about 80. About 80, yeah. I mean, the readings are a little bit strange. I'm not expecting this one to be necessarily lower. They're about the same. It may be the positioning of the actual T5 bulbs themselves. Okay, so down at the base of the tower, we're seeing 45, about a 45 par. On the sand bed in the very center, we're seeing 65 par. And then starting here on the crescent, at the closest to us, I'm just gonna go up in order and you can just follow the par meter. 75, 80, about 80 to 75. And in the back, we're seeing 70. Up here, we're seeing 75. Further down, we're seeing 70. And then at the very back, which I'm not sure if you can see, I'm seeing 60. So what I'm seeing so far is that the light distribution with these T5s is very even. So right now, we have the T5s turned on, and I just turned on my Radeon G4 XR30 Pros. I'm gonna go ahead and start this off at 40%. I know I said 50% earlier, but honestly, I think 40% with this mix may be enough. We'll just go ahead and take a look. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the exact same process as we did before and see where we're at now that we've turned on the LEDs. So at the water level, we're seeing a 400 par. That is a huge difference than what we saw with the T5. So let's go ahead and keep looking. So on the tower, at the top left, we're seeing about 140, about 135 to 140. On the overhang, we're seeing 150. At the base of the tower, we're seeing 120. At the sand bed, we're seeing 155. Starting with the crescent at the closest, We're seeing 190. Continue moving up. We've got 165. 165 as well. Right here, it seems to be about 180 to 190. Right here is a hot spot. And you know what? I'm guessing it's because right above it is a LED puck. And that could explain why we're seeing such high values. Going down the crescent, we have 175, 145 to 150 right here. So as we can see, there is a huge difference in par moving from just T5 to these LEDs. And these LEDs are just at 40%. And we're already seeing par values of 140 to 200 depending on where they go. Honestly, that itself is good enough for probably most anemones that you'd want to keep. Now, it's possible certain anemones like a Magnifica Helferi may need a little bit more par, but we can always adjust that because, again, these are at 40%. As you guys can see, the par values, once you add the LEDs, are huge, okay? The par values get so much better once you add the LEDs. Now, the benefit of the T5s is that we're spreading out that par distribution. And honestly, based on these values alone, I wish I went with that on my 250-gallon saltwater build. Now, that build is becoming mostly an Aquapora SPS build, and because of that, this would be incredibly beneficial for those corals. But for the sake of the anemones, this should be good. Now, for the rest of this video, I'm gonna be including an infographic. Every 10% I increase my LED intensity, including all the par values along the tower, the crescent, and at the sand bed level. And I think that's gonna be helpful because you don't need to see me come through here and talk about every 10% because we all know what's gonna happen, okay? No surprise. So enjoy. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'm really excited to see how this 90-gallon build progresses over the coming weeks and months. Just last weekend, I mean, it's all about the little things, guys. Just last weekend, I had my first bout of detritus. So I took some of my snails from the 250-gallon tank and just tossed them right in the tank. The salinity between both is almost identical, so I really didn't have any fear of those snails having a problem. And so far, they've been loving it. There's so much food, and I have so many snails. Like, at the end of the day, if anyone says anything about Aaron's Aquatics, you tell them I am a purveyor. I'm the worldwide corals of breeding snails. Guys, I've got so many damn snails, I don't know what to do with them all. Anyways, thank you guys very much for watching. My name is Aaron. This is Aaron's Aquatics. I'll see you next time.